Habaragani, what is the word for today? Our word for today is Imani. Imani is the principle that makes all the other principles possible. The principle of believing in one's parents, teachers, leaders, people, and the righteousness and victory of the struggle. Our speaker for this evening is Reverend Wesley Morris. The Reverend Wesley Morris, Senior Pastor of Faith Community Church in Greensboro, North Carolina, is a renowned figure in transformative justice and community activism. With over a decade of experience at the beloved community church, he guides intergenerational learning and community organizing. As Associate Director of Southern Vision Alliance, Reverend Morris supports grassroots projects and leadership programs across the U.S. South. A graduate of North Carolina Agriculture and Technical State University and Union Theological Seminary, he enriches communities through international travel projects, fostering cultural and spiritual connections. Morris addresses systemic racism and poverty violence, drawing from his chaplaincy at Harlem Hospital and psychology and religion studies. He fosters forgiveness and peace, unlocking clarity in high-pressure situations. In his leisure time, Morris enjoys traveling, reading, writing, and indulging in his vinyl record collection, along with basketball and live sporting events. The International Civil Rights Center and Museum is proud to present Reverend Wesley Morris speaking on the principle of Imani.
Welcome to the final night of Kwanzaa, where we will be reflecting and meditating on the word Imani, which stands for faith. We will be lighting the green candle tonight, and that's why I'm wearing the color green. I'm really excited about sharing a few reflections and words about my experience with faith. I see faith as the bridge or the arc that covers Kwanzaa. We began with Umoja. We've journeyed through cooperative economics and self-determination and purpose, and we can have all of those individual principles, but if we don't have faith, it becomes challenging to see them in the real world in which we live. And so as we move from concept and idea to the reality and the movement of people in community, I want to take you on a journey. This journey begins with the word faith and a definition that I want to share with you. I once heard that faith is a perpetually defeated thing that survives all of its conquerors. When you think about that in your own life, how many times have you survived insurmountable odds? How many times have you bounced back from hurts or harms or wounds? How many times have you been counted out, but you found a way through your community to survive? Tonight, I'm reflecting on faith as a bridge to see the world around us anew, beginning with how we tend to believe in that which we cannot see. As a minister and a pastor in this community, I think about our congregation, which from week to week comes back, renewed in their faith, renewed in their belief that it will work out some way. I also believe that not only in our faith traditions, but in our workplaces, in school, we have to take this belief that we will win. We will be victorious. We will find a way. We will find it together. So when you believe in faith, that means that you're going beyond what you actually see. It takes a certain kind of person to be able to see unrealized potential in people and in circumstances that seem like they are dead or gone. It's an opportunity to see people in our lives as places to instill inspiration and encouragement rather than harsh judgment or belief that they will not become who they were intended to be. Tonight, looking at faith through the lens of Mary McLeod Bethune, who once said that without faith, nothing is possible, but with faith, everything is possible. So as we begin and end on tonight with faith, let us come together in our circles and talk about what does it mean for us to have faith in 2025. It means that we look back on 2024. Let's take a few moments to reflect. What are some things that you are grateful for? Go ahead, think about it for a moment. Not only that you're grateful for, what are some things that brought you some joy? Yeah, take another moment, think about it. And what are some things, or what are some times in 2024 where your faith was challenged, but somehow, some way, you continued to believe and trust that another world was possible for you? How did that work out for you? Take a moment, think about it. As you think about these moments, I think it's important to think about faith in context. Faith is not a cloud that sits alone in the sky. Faith is love in action. Faith is trust in motion. How have you trusted people around you? How have you trusted the movement for a better city? In those moments of trust, I want to share with you a story about a spelling bee. A spelling bee team that was assembled out of students who were friends, and they were up there and they all had this opportunity to spell different words. There was one member of the team, he seemed to be the one that told all the jokes and made everybody laugh. But they never looked at him as the one who was the best speller of them all. Well, it came to the last round and it found the last word was inquisitive. And lo and behold, the one that they counted out as a jokester was the one that had to spell this word. The moderator said, inquisitive, an adjective. Spell it. The young person looked around, saw his teammates, and one of the teammates shared a thumbs up and said, you got it. Began to spell inquisitive, I-N-Q-U-I-S-I-T-I-V-E. Inquisitive. Now, in that moment, we could say that young person really excelled and did a wonderful job. What I want to share is that young person, somebody believed in them. Just that glance over at a teammate that had faith in them made a difference. They asked this young person, how did you learn how to spell the word inquisitive? I always found that word as something that was important to me. I stayed curious about the world around me. So I knew to study that one word in particular. Faith requires us to be inquisitive about the things in which we do not see, but we hope that are possible. Through Kwanzaa and our celebrating together, as we eat together, as we celebrate the close of another year and reflect on this word faith, let's stay curious about the possibilities of good rather than the possibilities of bad. In 2024, one of the biggest tragedies we experienced as a state was Hurricane Helene. It struck western North Carolina and impacted families all throughout the U.S. South. When we are faced with tragedy, it is oftentimes when the human spirit has to find a way to go beyond its borders, go across differences, and find common ground. Over and over again, throughout the history of our state in responses to natural disasters, we have seen neighborhoods come out in droves. We've seen volunteer drives hundreds of miles to be supportive of communities that are directly impacted. I myself was part of a team that loaded up a truck that drove from Greensboro, North Carolina, all the way to Asheville, and realizing that it's not just one city, but it is the whole entire area that needs support. Yes, our prayers go with us. Yes, our resources fill a truck, but it is a heart that cares for others, that is fueled by faith, that allows us to see that the end of the story is not the disaster itself. It's the rebuilding of a community after. And so after we fall down, after we experience difficulty, after we think this is over, is when our faith comes back to us, refills us, and fuels us to restart a new beginning. The last week of September in 2024, the Beloved Community Center and many of its partners here in Greensboro launched a vision. They had a vision of having a march from the mountains to the coast. In 10 days, they would stop in 13 different cities, and each city would be responsible for rallying and gathering up their common issues and start believing that there were common solutions. And so, embarking on that journey at the end of September, it was a long march, a march every single day for each of those days. And communities came out in droves because of the faith of a small group of people that decided that we, the people, can build a deeper, stronger, broader democracy in 2024. That vision is only accomplished when you have people who have faith, that believe in the unrealized potential that a vision that you have about the possible future can be real. Along that journey, we stopped in Greensboro and I had a march in the middle of the day. Can you imagine going out to check your mail and over 150 people marching down your street and chanting, "Unity is a choice. Power is in the people." Can you imagine what that's like? Well, along that march, one young girl came outside and she joined our march and she grabbed a sign and she jumped up and down. When she jumped up and down and she said, "Unity, unity, unity," 150 people began to cheer her on. Now, think about that. The core memory of a young child at 11 o'clock in the morning, hearing 150 people cheering her on. Faith gives you rewards that you may not see when you begin. But if you step out on that journey of faith, you will be able to see things that you could not have imagined and transform lives for the better. And so that's just one example of how faith in this community has moved mountains into the sea. There are so many reports that we can inundate and fill ourselves up with, fill our minds with things that will not work out, things that we should be worried about and threatened by. My encouragement this Kwanzaa is to have faith that there is a purpose that was born deep inside of me, coupled with the strength to make that faith come up and out of my body and out of my mouth and even out of every pore in my body, that other people will see that that person still has faith. That person still believes. It's important to do that in community as we realize our potential in each of these principles by having faith that it is still possible.
The International Civil Rights Center and Museum thanks you for joining us for our 2024 Kwanzaa Lecture Series. We hope that you were enlightened, empowered, and inspired to apply the principles of the Nguzo Saba 365 days of the year. And as it is with every time that we close out Kwanzaa, we close with the harambe, which is a declaration and a commitment to pull together. Harambe, 7 times we shout, and the last time we hold the last harambe until each person is out of breath. So we want to end with our harambes. Harambe, 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 harambe.